Hello, Virgos. Welcome to your monthly zodiac reading for the month of January 2025. I am very excited to see what this reading has in store for you guys. Things are definitely shifting this year for you as the nodes shift into your sign and the sign of Pisces this year. So you guys are definitely going to be going through some changes. So we're definitely going to see how this is going to play out. We are going to do things just a tad bit differently. I'm going to focus predominantly on Virgo risings. That way with the astrological transits, I can pinpoint what house this may be playing out for you. Please keep in mind that all astrological transits and how they impact you directly depend on your birth chart, okay? This is just a collective input and analysis of how these energies can play out with astrology and tarot. Also, this month has kind of got 5 weeks going on versus 4. The first and the fifth week aren't full 7-day weeks. So I'm going to pull cards for 5 weeks as opposed to 4. Focusing on Virgo risings, even if this reading doesn't resonate with you, feel free to check your sun or your moon, because depending on your birth chart, that may be an area that you need to focus on more so than your rising. So let's see what the overall energy is for Virgos. Speak up. Have you been keeping things to yourself, Virgos? It's time for you to speak up. It's time for you to speak your truth. And it feels like it's time to not necessarily get things off your chest, but almost stand up for yourself. It's kind of the energy that this feels like. Feels like standing up for yourself, which is really interesting, right? I know that the South Node is going to be moving into your sign, and the South Node is kind of like our karmic comfort zone. It's the things, themes, and qualities that we've become accustomed to over our lives and our lived experience, and it's time for us sometimes to really let those go. And maybe for you guys, speak up. Let's see. I don't think I've ever pulled that card before. That's interesting. Here in the first week, awakening or judgment in reverse. The Five of Swords in reverse. The Three of Swords in reverse. Interesting. The King of Cups. As I've said in other readings, if you watched, the kings are different in this deck. They are neutral energies versus direct or reverse. So it's more of a neutral energy. But depending on what cards come out after that, what clarifying cards are presented, really just kind of depends on where this energy heads. And then the Knight of Swords, direct. So here in the first week, we have Venus moving into the sign of Pisces. Venus is the planet of love, money, beauty, aesthetic. I was about to say abundance, but that's not true. But love, money, beauty, aesthetic, art, what we value, is moving into the sign, the very dreamy sign of Pisces. This is happening in your 7th house. This is your house of one-on-one relationships, long-term romantic relationships, and business contracts. Here with judgment in reverse, it could be that there's a lot of self-judgment that's occurring. It could be that there is a need to surrender to the unknown when it comes to the universe and maybe decisions that need to be made. Maybe you're struggling to make a decision. And it's because you're holding on tightly to an outcome. You're not really sure. You're trying to control how this energy plays out. There's a need. You're kind of micromanaging the universe, essentially. And we all know that we can't do that. That's a very futile game that we like to play as humans. But with awakening in reverse, with judgment in reverse, it definitely feels like there's a need to let go. Maybe there's a need to let go of that self-judgment that could be taking place. Virgo, you guys are extremely critical of yourself and others when you're in a lower vibrational state, just because you're a perfectionist, right? Here in the second week, we've got the Five of Swords in reverse. This is feeling like you're in a lose-lose situation, or even feeling guilty about something, maybe feeling guilty about speaking up. We have Mars retrograding into the sign of Cancer. It's been retrograde for quite some time. Cancer is in your 11th house. This is social circles, friendships, and even your hopes and dreams, your aspirations, so to speak. So if you're trying to work towards your dreams, it can feel like you're in a lose-lose situation because the energy is just sluggishly moving along. It's not going the way you're wanting it to go, but that's because Mars is retrograde, okay? We also have, that's on the 6th, we have Mercury moving into the sign of Capricorn on the 8th. Mercury is the planet of thoughts, ideas, and communication, and it is moving into your 5th house. Okay, your 5th house is your house of self-expression. And it could be, like I said, feeling very guilty about expressing yourself, feeling very guilty about speaking up for yourself. Here in the 3rd week, we have the full moon in Cancer. Full moons are a buildup and a culmination of energy, and the moon activates our emotional body. The moon governs the sign of Cancer. So this full moon is going to be specifically like very potent because the energy, the moon is in its home sign. This is happening at the 23rd degree, which is an Aquarius or Uranus degree, right? So Cancer sits in your, like I said, 11th house. This is around your hopes and your dreams. And this could be feeling like there's a need for healing to really happen. There's a need for acceptance of what has occurred while Mars has maybe been retrograde within this sign. And it could be kind of like this revelation, this sense of innovation or just intuitiveness that comes along. And the light of the moon is like, hey, you've been holding on to this thing over here, and it's really, really time for you to let it go. It's time for you to stop holding on to it. It's time for you to accept certain realities, and it's time for you to move on. Here in the 4th week, we have Aquarius season starting on the 19th. The 13th is when the full moon happens. On the 19th, Aquarius season starts. So anytime we shift into a new astrological season, themes and qualities of that sign tend to take center stage. And Aquarius is all about authenticity. It is about the good of the collective. It's about the future, right? Aquarius sits in your 6th house. This is your health and your work habits. Health and work habits. This is your daily routine. So it could be that with Aquarius season, you guys really need to be focusing on your emotional regulation. With the King of Cups, the King of Cups has mastered his emotions. He's very, very connected to his intuition. He's connected to his spirituality, all because he has learned how to master his emotions. He's completely and energetically sovereign. He's been through it all, and he knows that reacting is not going to help him. So no matter what is going on around him, what chaos is going on around him, his emotions remain steady, right? If this energy is in reverse, could be a little bit of a drama king. You know, emotions are really just getting the best of him, maybe even emotionally manipulative, sometimes not intentionally, sometimes it is. So just be mindful of that with Aquarius season. I feel more like when Aquarius season starts and it being within your 6th house, this is the house that you guys rule. You Virgos rule the 6th house, right? That means Mercury has an influence here. Mercury governs the central nervous system. How do we regulate our central nervous system? Or how do we regulate our emotions? Through the central nervous system. I feel like breath work, meditation things like that need to become a part of your daily routine. That's kind of what this energy, that's the vibe that this energy is getting. So that way, when you do start speaking up, it's not emotionally explosive. It's clear, it's concise, it's to the point. And you're able to speak in a way that does not diminish the reality of others, but gets your point across as well. Here in the 5th week, we have the Knight of Swords, or the Knight of Voices. This is about taking the knights are action takers of the tarot. Voices or swords is the mind, thoughts, ideas, communication. This is fearlessly pursuing things that you want to say. This is fearlessly pursuing things that you want to know. Specifically with you guys, probably things that you want to say. Mercury is moving into the sign of Aquarius. So if you can focus here in this 4th week on emotional regulation, you're going to feel much more confident in your ability to speak up for yourself. Okay? Mercury moving into Aquarius, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, is moving into your 6th house. It's moving into kind of a home territory for you guys. So it could be that what you're thinking about, like your daily routines, kind of regulating your nervous system, how you're speaking to people, kind of take a much more predominant theme right now. On the 29th, we have the North Node leaving Aries and shifting into the sign of Pisces. That means that the South Node is going to be shifting into your sign. And like I said, this can really, the South Node is our karmic comfort zone. So if you guys struggle with speaking up for yourselves, the South Node is going to trigger that. It's going to trigger plenty of opportunities for you to learn how to speak up for yourself. We have the new moon happening in Aquarius on the 29th. This is happening at a Jupiter degree, so it's very expansive, very optimistic. It feels like with the Knight of Swords here being direct, you guys are feeling very enthusiastic about where it is that you want to go. You're ready to speak those intentions into existence. You are ready to think those manifestations into existence. You're really ready to take charge and to just fly forward. Notable mention, Uranus, the planet of disruption, sudden change, innovation, rebellion, and revolution, is going direct within the sign of Taurus. Taurus sits in your 9th house of higher learning. Okay? So this could be that when Uranus goes direct, moral and spiritual beliefs become a focus for you, or it kind of happens more so in a way where you now are a little bit more expressive with your belief systems. Again, Knight of Voices, Knight of Swords, being very expressive and really, and just being ready to speak your mind. Here in the 1st week, awakening or judgment in reverse, the 7 of coins. So there's a need to be patient, and there's a need to surrender and be mindful of the seeds that you're planting. Remember, all things take time, okay? Because I know it feels like the energy is just not moving forward with the 8 of Wands. And it could feel that if you're trying to force this energy to move forward, every action that you're taking with the 8 of Wands, it's not going to hit the mark. And it hasn't been hitting the mark. And it can be very, very difficult to struggle to let go and surrender to the universe. And I just heard every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if I'm not entirely sure why that just came to mind. I had it and then it left right after I said that. Oh my God, that's crazy. That's never happened before. It literally just dropped in and was like, gone. Maybe I'll come up, maybe it'll come back to me. But needing to surrender, and it had to do with like letting go of recognizing, letting go of things from the past, letting go of poor choices and actions from the past. It's kind of like acceptance. It feels like acceptance. I accept that I've made poor choices in the past with the Eight of Wands. I've been careless with the things that I've said. I've been careless with my actions. And this is the result. These are the seeds that I planted months ago. And now I have to deal with it. That's kind of what the energy is feeling like. Whew. That was crazy. But it feels like kind of like this theme of acceptance with you guys when it comes to these are the seeds that I've planted. And now I need to accept how this energy plays out. I need to be patient with it. I need to let go of my past. I need to stop judging myself. And I need to think more clearly about how I want to move forward. Here, feeling like you're in a lose-lose situation or feeling guilty about speaking up. The Four of Cups, feeling like you're in a lose-lose situation and it's kind of creating this sense of apathy and boredom, maybe even frustration. Judgment in reverse again. Because the theme is speak up, because I mean, this is huge. Like, this is speak up. If you're speaking out of frustration, you're going to regret that. If you're speaking out of frustration, you're going to feel guilty about the things that you've said in an argument. And it could be that, again, because this has to do with past choices that have been made. Like, you can't bring this back to life. What's done is done. You cannot consistently revisit something trying to revive it in hopes that if you revive it, you can change it. You can't. You cannot change the past. All you can do is recognize the seeds that you've sown and make better choices in the future. Make better choices in the future. Do it differently. If you don't want to feel guilty because you spoke out of frustration, then what do you need to do to ensure that that doesn't happen in the future? What skill set do you need to develop? What habit do you need to cultivate to make sure that that doesn't happen in the future? That's powerful. You've got Judgment twice. And like I said, you guys are incredibly self-critical. So you can't change the past. What's done is done. And it's time for you to let that go, and it's time for you to move on. Learn from your mistakes, learn from what has happened, and do it differently this time. Here, the Three of Voices in reverse, Three of Swords in reverse, the Eight of Swords, finally healing, thank you, and moving, releasing yourself from this self-imposed prison. Accepting what has happened and releasing yourself from this self-imposed prison. And doing some inner child work. The Six of Cups in reverse means needing to address inner child work. Maybe this is forgiveness to people around you. Stop holding on to your past. Address those inner child wounds because you cannot take them with you moving forward. This definitely feels very South Node-y. It definitely feels very South Node-y, but you cannot take these things with you. You can't. The South Node is not going to let you do that. Or you can You can do that, but it's going to be extremely challenging. So you can choose a different path by letting it go. Address those inner child wounds. Finally allow yourself to heal from the heartache of your childhood. I know that's super deep, and that's probably not what some of you want to hear, but it's what's there. Address that childhood. Here in the 4th week, the King of Cups, 4 of Wands, emotional stability. The internal environment creates the outer form. Here with the 4 of Wands, a happy reunion, happiness, feeling joy in the home, and stability and comfort. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. It doesn't feel like you're blocking your own growth. It just feels like a cycle is turning slowly. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel, like I said, like you're blocking your own growth. It just feels like this inevitable change that's occurring, maybe within the home or within a relationship, feels like something that needed to happen. It needed to happen because it provided an opportunity to maybe address the harder things that you weren't addressing. Okay? For some of you, you could be asked to attend an event that you weren't expecting to attend, and you could just be a little upset about it. It literally can be that practical here in the 4th week. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep, and sometimes it's really not. For some of you, you are unexpectedly invited to an event and you're like, I don't have time for this crap. I don't have, your emotion. It really gets your emotions going. Okay. It feels more like an unintended or inevitable change within a dynamic with the 4 of Wands. It feels like inevitable change to create stability in your life. But, for some of you, it's just you're being asked to go somewhere you really don't want to go. Or not that you don't want to go, you want to go there, but it threw a wrench in your plans. Here in the last week, the week of the new moon, Knight of Voices, the Devil in reverse, speaking your truth, taking action on speaking up for yourself is going to allow you to release yourself from these duties and these chains that bind you. Virgo, you guys are very duty bound. You feel dutiful to your family, to your friends, to your work. You very much feel chained and bound by the world around you. And by speaking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, so to speak, can really allow you to release yourself from these metaphorical chains that you feel like maybe even weigh you down. The 7 of Cups, seeing things clearly now. You're like, in order for me to really release myself from these bonds, I have to stand up for myself. I have to speak my truth. I deserve that. The people that I love and respect deserve to know how I feel, but doing it in a very respectful way. This is really interesting. It's a very powerful reading. It sounds like it could be challenging, but if you can step up to the plate, if you can let go of your own darkness and see the challenges for what they are, this is an ultimate opportunity. It feels like to step up, to step into a level of self-confidence that maybe you guys have never really had before. You have to advocate for yourself. or else you will always struggle. You will always feel resentful. You will always feel critical of yourself. You will always project that onto other people. That was one of the coolest things that my therapist taught me to do, was to advocate for myself. It's still a struggle sometimes, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely worth doing. Your dreams need a practical plan. You have to be intentional. You can't just take action haphazardly. You know how that works out. You have to surrender control, and you have to be intentional about the seeds that you plant. You know you've made more poor choices in the past, and you cannot continue to live your life that way. It's not going to work out in your favor. It hasn't so far, and it won't now. Your dreams need a practical plan. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to move towards your future? Confidence is your key to success. What did I just say? Stepping into a new level of confidence for yourself. Sometimes when we say things, when we speak up for ourselves, we can feel incredibly guilty about what was said, because we're owning how the other people feel about how we feel. That's not our job. It's our job to advocate for ourselves, and it's our job to be responsible and respectful when we speak. But it's not our job to own the feelings of other people. That's not what we do, and we have to stop doing it. You cannot control how other people feel. So stand confident in the fact that you advocated for yourself. Stand confident in the fact that speaking up for yourself and advocating for yourself is where you will feel the most successful. Meditate and contemplate. Focus on that inner child healing. New moon in Pisces. Pisces is about forgiveness. It's about compassion and empathy and unconditional love. And it is about forgiveness. This full moon in Cancer collectively governs the mother. It governs the matriarch. It governs our ancestral roots, which are typically passed down through the matriarchal line. It's time for you to heal that past. It's time for you to let go. It's time for you to meditate and contemplate on how you want to move forward in a healthier way. A personal issue reaches a resolution. That's lovely, because with the Four of Wands, it's celebratory, right? You're celebrating the fact that things had to change. And you're good with it. You're accepting of it. You're like, this is the way things had to be. And again, this is Cancer energy. So this is full moon in Cancer. This is like a ripple effect of what happened with the full moon, which is beautiful. This is very healing. Like, this is all taking steps towards healing. And this is beautiful. You are good enough. Full moon in Virgo. You realize that maybe with the Knight of Swords or the Knight of Voices, that speaking up for yourself and advocating for yourself is how you show yourself that you are worthy of all of the things that you want. You see clearly now how you need to release yourself from these, like I said, these metaphorical chains that hold you back. And as a result, you're able to pursue yourself. You're able to pursue what it is that you think, what it is that you feel, in a way that is not self-destructive. this is, like, I feel honored to read for this. Like, I am beyond thrilled for you guys. This is beautiful. This is healing. And like I said, it feels very universal. It feels like a big, like a sigh of relief. I am so excited for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I enjoyed reading it. I hope you guys have an incredible month, and we will see you in February.